I don't need no one to save me. I was born to be the greatest. All that time in that basement, all that time isn't wasted. Rapping getting faded. I just wanna tell my mom that I made it. Just wanna be the topic of the conversation. Used to rock the gold plated. Now I'm wearing gold chains like I'm famous.
Also have separation, but I have 10% of my salary goes into that account, and then that gets automatically transferred to a mutual fund. So I made sure I did that, and then I said I put 5% of my salary into like a rainy day fund, and that is like, it's not actually in my bank account, it's in another account. So that was the first three things that I did. I had made sure I had a rainy day account, mutual fund, and a 401k. Made sure I had those, and I said I don't touch them, but I don't look at them. I don't do anything with those. And then I get my salary, right? So it's in my bank account. First thing I do is I pay a bill, straight out, pay a bill. And then I get myself a little bling, not big bling, but little bling. So it could be, for example, back in the day, a Lego set. I'm big into Lego. So a Lego set would be $20. Okay, so I pay a bill and I get a $20 Lego set. At that point, I'm kind of like in a good mood, you can say. Mm-hmm. So then it was like, now go pay another bill, right? And then once I would do that, and I would like take care of myself and then pay a bill, like my anxiety would go down, and I'd be like, I feel pretty comfortable. Like I feel like being taken care of. And then I would put a certain amount of my money every paycheck into retraining myself. So books, go buy a book, go buy Udemy's, go buy courses for education so I can advance my career. Well, when I did this over time, I socialized myself and conditioned myself to always be incrementally improving and building myself. And I had a great time. My life really blossomed. And so I was like, you know, instead of spending like $300 to take a woman out for dinner, I spent, you know, I paid a bill, and then I bought like a Cisco book, which is like $80. And then I went out and I had like sushi, and that's like $60 in California. And right. I was like, how do you feel? Like, good, you got a book, you got some sushi, you got a bill paid. I was like, yeah, I feel pretty good. Like, why do I need to take the woman out? Let's do this. That's how my life was. That's how I did it. It was just step by step, week by week, incremental. Make sure that I have the savings every paycheck, and I don't touch it and I don't look at it. So my investments were usually making between 15 to 25% a year. I never looked at it. I just looked at it like once every 5 years or so. I would actually put my eye into it. But before that, now I just like, it's done. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to know.
Okay, so let me kind of rewind a little bit. So like, all right, now how did you get into investments? Because I know that you said that what put the catalyst for you to be frugal and fiscal responsible, like, was due to the fact that you were homeless. But like, how were you able to kind of get into like mutual funds and things like that?
So I studied finance when I was in university.
Okay,
that's one of my minors, and I studied portfolio management.
Okay.
So I understood some of the mutual funds. So if you have 401k, it's also a mutual fund. So I understood what the stocks were, the kind of combinations, and I was like, well, look at my position. So like for the 401k, I wanted that to be a higher growth fund because I'm getting my contribution and the company contribution, right? So I really wanted that to be like a more aggressive one. Whereas my mutual fund, that was all by money. That was post-tax. So I'm going to get taxed on it again when I get my capital gains.
That's work, but yeah. Yep.
So I was a little bit more conservative on that. So I was like, I want that to be like 10%. So that was like more like a little bit more T-bills, but like more like IBM, like traditional stock funds that over time tend to like even there's a recession, they survive. They just keep on growing. And I was like, okay, so for that fund, that's all I want to do is that kind of stuff. Whereas for my 401k, that is like emerging funds, like highly speculative investments. It could go 15 to 25%, but during the recession, it went down 40%, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to deal with that. Like, there's touch and go over a long period of time, though. It's always over 15% year to year. So you just have to think about what you really want, how you want to do your investment, and just be smart about what you're actually putting in there. So companies that don't have let's say penny stock, companies that have a lot of hope, but they don't have cash flow, their stock is less than $1 a lot of times.
Right.
So you could be like, okay, I'm gonna put $1,000 into there. I don't expect that $1,000 back. And sometimes you're gonna lose that money. But sometimes that money might go from like 50 cents to $15 a share, and then it does a stock split. So you get 2 stocks, right? So now it's $30. So you just went from 50 cents to $30 per share. If you put $1,000 in there, you got some cash, right? So then if you have a good portfolio manager, they say, okay, thank you for the money, and then they put the money into someplace else. That's what I deal with. That's it's one of my 401ks is in Goldman Sachs, and that's one of the stuff they do there. It's actually very effective.
No, I think that is very, very smart. I think that, like what you were saying, where you have a mutual fund where you don't touch it, you just leave that money there. Right. And so for people who are working, most people typically get paid bi-weekly. So at least 2 times a month, you're going to get a paycheck. So at least 2 times a month, that money is going to be sitting there, that rainy day fund. Right. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, knock on wood, God forbid, and some sort of catastrophe happens or whatever, but you at least have something waiting for you should you need it. Right. And so this way you already know what's there and you know not to touch it. And then also being strategic for, let's say, like the average worker, right? So the average worker is making between 50 to 65 ish, something like that. Right. So they can invest in some penny stocks because it's not going to hurt them too much. Like say if they get a stock for 50 cents, maybe $1 or something, and that stock does happen to appreciate rather than depreciate, so you're looking kind of good. So I would say like even average earners can still make some investments.
Yeah, and it's a lot about discipline. You have to accept situation. So, okay, so you have to do that investment, right? And then after you pay your bills, sometimes, I mean, I'll just be straight out honest. Maybe during that payday, I put $1,000, $1,500 into investments and savings. But after I paid my bills, I only had money for like peanut butter and jelly and ramen for 2 weeks. I ate peanut butter and jelly and ramen. That's the way it was.
Right. Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't go out and do anything. I didn't have anything else. I didn't say like, okay, I need money from the rainy day. No, the rainy day is like, and I was homeless. The rainy day is there to make sure you're not homeless again.
Right.
that's
right.
it.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. I mean, the thing is that like people would say like I would eat peanut butter and jelly or like the tuna fish. Man, especially back in the day, like man, like we was poor. We would have like Spam in a can, right? Yeah. I'm saying I was poor back in the day, So I'm saying like for and long story short, all jokes aside, is that like for to eat sushi now or to eat filet mignon now, you have that more appreciation due to the fact that you remember the times where you were having peanut butter and jelly and oodles and noodles every day, right? So I definitely understand where you're coming from in that mindset, right? Because sometimes people will say, "Oh man, oodles and noodles again," but it's like, hey, you know what? At least you're having something to eat on a daily basis, and the more that you keep consistent when it comes to saving your money, spending it wisely, right, and not just spending it frivolously. You see this woman, she has a nice body and all of that, and you're trying to take her out, and you're trying to take her out the roof, Chris, and you're like, nah, dog, don't do that. Invest in
No,
yourself. Invest in
no.
yourself.
Just to have a roof over your head, the
Mhm.
bills are paid, you have something safe, you've got the internet. Um, and I had my career, I had my jobs working, I was making my money. I didn't care if I had peanut butter and jelly or not. It was safe.
Right.
It was fine. When I was homeless, I was eating out of trash cans. I had
Yeah.
food. Remember that?
Yeah.
So I had a dog with me named Kitty. Kitty was I was totally in love with Kitty because she was always next to me. When I was in my darkest moments, my worst homelessness, cancer, all that, Kitty was always next to me,
Mhm.
always giving me comfort. So when I finally bought this house, I bought this house with cash, and I only used a partial mortgage, but I paid the mortgage off in 9 months. So, like I just straight out was like, I don't want to have the mortgage at all, so I paid the remainder
There
off
you go.
with cash.
There you go.
So when that happened, and then the house appreciated in value, I, I had like $1 million in assets, right?
Mhm.
And I actually went to Whole Foods and I got filet mignon, and I gave it to Cutie first. Cutie and I sat and we just had steak together.
Nice. There you go. Hey man, hey, there you go. There you go. There you go.
She was looking at me like, "Why are you like so happy?" I was like, she doesn't know.
Right. Yeah.
So it was fun. I got it's a little memory that I've got. It just I walked out. I remember of the house, and it's just a normal day. I had my normal clothes on and everything. I just had my Hyundai car, and it was a $10,000 car. No big deal. It was used, and my normal shoes, just my Nikes, and I was a millionaire. I was like, okay,
Mhm.
cool. I made it. Yeah, I'm good.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.